Right, hi there, Graham Fletcher here, and I'm here with the lovely Dan Mangum, who's in great flow sharing some deep knowledge about ancient knowledge of the pyramids. And Dan, yeah, let's continue with what you were talking about in the last video. That was fascinating.
Okay, so yeah, the pyramid shape creates a vertical, it creates other energies too, but it creates the vertical negative green coming down. And um, the if you have a pyramid, like an open framed pyramid, if you just go to the base pieces and just etch a line in the very center of each base piece between the corners, go all the way around, that will eliminate it. If it's a pyramid with faces, if you just etch or draw a line, you can even just use pencil and draw a line down there. You may have to renew it, if it fades. From the peak down to the center of the base on each four faces, that will eliminate the vertical negative green. And yeah, a lot of people don't know the Great Pyramid doesn't look like it's indented, but if they didn't discover it till someone was flying over it, in the
Yeah, yeah.
50s or 60s, on just the right day, I think it was the solstice or something, so they could see a shadow. And
Right.
it's just slightly indented from the peak
Yeah,
all the way down. So you can't see it from the ground. It's too slight because it's
yeah,
such a massive structure. And that's will do the same thing. It eliminates it. So there's no vertical negative green, and there's other ways to eliminate it too. Like I said, other with the domes and whatnot. There's various ways to alter these energies, but that's one thing they did, and that's a very complex structure. It may very well have other reasons they did it too, but that's one thing it does is it eliminates that.
yeah.
So it's not dangerous to be in there. Um, um, yeah, the pyramids also radiate some energies off of the bases or whatnot, and they did some work with that. Enel, the Russian guy, he did some work with the pyramids, and as it turns out, these bands, they can be divided up into sub bands. They're kind of a broad thing. They can be divided up into sub bands. And he discovered inside the broad band of negative green, a little piece of it that I believe he initially called it omega, but it became known as the pi ray, if you've
Okay.
ever heard of the pi ray.
Yeah.
And it comes in at like 6 degrees and 15 minutes or something, through that one shaft down there or whatever. It fills the sarcophagus, which is not a sarcophagus, but it fills that. And and then other people, came and did research after that, but he was the one who discovered that, and that particular, he calls it, I think he calls it omega, and then it later became known as the pi ray. And other sub-bands are like in the cathedral at Chartres in France, it has that labyrinth on the floor. That labyrinth radiates this particular sub-band of white. They call it the wave of Chartres. And uh, Jean de la Foy did a lot of work with stuff like that. Like this symbol here, that moon like that, that's the crescent moon figure. That symbol radiates that particular subband of white, the wave of Chartres. And if you turn it this way, now it radiates the vertical wave.
Right.
This is the horizontal.
Okay.
So who knows what else is going on? I mean, there's just, there's so much you could investigate on these lines, but like, and oftentimes, like I said, there's multiple things going on. In that particular cathedral, you'll have this wave because of the labyrinth, but there's also yellow, horizontal yellow, kind of spiraling around in there, things like that. And if when you know what you know about these ancient structures, and all these things, and then you learn about this, it makes a lot of what other people have discovered from different angles make more sense.
Yeah.
Like the cathedrals, being, there's so much that, that people are figuring out about those stone cathedrals, especially the true Gothic cathedrals, the energy, reaching up, opening up people, to, a spiritual connection while they're inside there being, listening to something. It's, yeah, the whole subject is just fascinating. Like, oh, another thing, horseshoes. You ever heard, I don't know if you hear about this in Europe, but in America, when you have a horseshoe, like people put it in your house, you're supposed to hang it with the open side up.
Right.
And the people say if you do it down, the luck will pour out. It's bad luck, so keep it upright, so the opening part is up.
Right.
That's what in America, that's what people do. Well, I measured a horseshoe, and if you have it upright, I forget the color band, but there's a horizontal energy about it. If you turn it upside down, now it's vertical.
Right.
So if you have it vertical, people say, you don't want to lose the luck, but if you have it vertical, it's actually emitting a negative energy. So I don't know if that's a coincidence or what, but there's something to, keeping the horseshoe up.
Right.
Wow. There's a lot of little interesting things like that, that you can discover. Not that I don't have horseshoes hanging on the house. I happen to have a horseshoe, and that's how I was playing with it. I just wanted to see, It is interesting, that, and Howard Carter's ring, and he didn't get, nothing happened to him.
Yeah. And interestingly, it sounds like that was a black and white symbol, but it's still emitting some sort of unseen vibrational color energy.
Yes, yes, it is. Yeah. Now, if you set a pendulum to black, you'll detect black because there's black ink there. But yeah, a color, just because something is a particular color, that doesn't mean the primary color it radiates is that color. I mean, it doesn't always correlate like that. And like I said, angles can generate these waves, ratios, musical notes, shapes. That's why they call it the shape-caused wave. Different shapes radiate different things, like you see with cones and pyramids and domes and things like that. So like if you're a dowser and you have a dowsing chart, and you have a half circle dowsing chart, like a lot of them are, you're usually laying it so the base is facing you. That's emitting vertical negative green right at you.
Wow.
So if you have a dowsing chart, you want to add like a little point, draw like a point or a line or something on the top or something like that to change it.
Right.
That's probably the simplest way to do it. Just like a little spire, or just a line or something right on the top, on the center, pointing away from you, and that will mitigate that energy. But just something to think about. Because I was just thinking a lot of those dowsing charts are half circled.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the tools, I guess. So here, like I said, this is called the virtual cone pendulum, because it creates, a virtual cone here, this angle, this shape.
And that's made out of wood, is it?
Yeah, this is made out of wood. It's got the colors. You set the disc on the color you want to detect for, and you'll notice that the disc has got a lip on one side and it doesn't have a lip on the other.
Yeah.
That's how you set it for horizontal or vertical waves. If the lip is up, it's set to detect horizontal waves. If I take it off, put it up, now the lip is down, now it's detecting vertical waves.
Right.
So it's kind of a slick thing. And Chamare and de Bellezal invented this. And same thing in plastic.
Okay. Does it make any difference between a wooden one or a plastic one?
I don't think so. No. I kind of like wood. It's a more natural material, but a clear acrylic is fairly neutral, I mean, everything has some aspect of its own energy or whatnot, but I don't think it matters. There is a company I've seen that makes a brass one, and it's much smaller, but it doesn't have the color marks on it because it's so small. So you'd have to kind of know.
Right. Okay.
But the people that make it don't understand it. It's smooth on both sides.
Okay. Right.
And they they say they don't want people to be, they say that that's so it only detects the horizontal wave. They don't want people messing with the vertical waves, but they've got it backwards. If it's flat, it's only detecting the vertical waves. So be careful. Not everybody knows everything. There's partial information out there and incorrect information out there. You have to be careful. Don't assume. Now I have one of those pendulums and there's no lip on it, but I just, as an experiment, I just etched a line across it.
Right.
Now the side with the line on it acts like the one with the lip, and now I can detect horizontal and vertical waves with it.
Right. Okay.
But it's interesting. It just polarizes the disc. So now the disc is not the same. It's now. So, but that's what you do. You set it for the color you want. Like right here, it's on blue, and right now it's on vertical blue because I got it down. And if vertical blue is present on what I'm trying to detect with, it'll begin to rotate like this.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
If vertical blue is not present, it won't rotate.
Right. Okay.
Like or if vertical blue is present, but I have it set on, orange, so it's set to detect vertical orange, it won't detect anything because it's not set for the right color that I'm detecting here. So it has to, it has to match what you're looking for. But you can also emit with this, like we'll put it on a vertical here or horizontal setting now. Here's green, positive green, the lip is up. And if I spin it like this intentionally, now it's emitting that color that I've got it set for.
Ah, wow.
So it's kind of neat.
Yeah.
I think it was Chamarine de Bellezal also invented this. This is the universal pendulum. It's got different axes on it with all the colors on there.
Right.
And you just move move this brass, shaft around, and then you move the string.
Right.
So like right now, it's on horizontal red, because I moved it over red and I put this over here. But if I set it over here, where we go? Okay. And now I shift it up to the center and up over here. Now I'm on vertical indigo.
Right.
So you can set this for any color. And then you want to be careful with this because the way this one works, there's two hemispheres in here creating a negative green.
Okay.
So you want to be careful. You don't even have to rotate this. Whatever it's set on, it will emit. So I try to keep it, there's the green. I try to keep it on green if I'm not using it. So if it's subtly emitting green here. If you leave it on one of the vertical colors, it'll be emitting it.
Okay.
So this is expensive. It's kind of neat, but it's expensive. It's also heavy. I mean, like, crack somebody over the head with this.
Okay.
But this is less expensive. It's smaller. It's easier. It still detects everything like that.
Yeah.
And
It's a bit more portable as well.
it's more portable. It's easier to take around with if you want to carry it with you.
Yeah.
And you can take this off to make it easier to carry, and then just put it back on when you want to detect with it. So, and these are available. There's the only place I've found that really sells these is a pendulum outfit in the UK.
Okay.
So I just order them from there. The American Society of Dowsers sometimes has one or two of these in stock, but oftentimes they don't. So I just buy them from your side of the pond. The next thing here, let's go with this one. This is a neat little pendulum. It's called the Turin pendulum. It's an acrylic sphere, and it's got compass needles on it.
Right.
So right now, the needles are pointing horizontally, so this will detect horizontal waves.
Yeah.
It won't tell you which color, and any horizontal wave will set it off.
Right.
It'll start spinning like this.
Yeah.
It'll tell you if horizontal or vertical waves are present. And then if you switch them, now they're pointing vertical.
Right.
Now it'll only detect vertical waves.
Right.
It won't tell you which one it is, but it'll tell you if a vertical wave is present. And you can even set it 1 for 1. So now if it'll tell you if both horizontal and vertical waves are present, because you got it set for both. It's kind of a sophisticated pendulum. It's kind of funky, but you know, it's not really something most people would need. But if you're a researcher, if you're interested in this stuff like I am, I think it's kind of a neat pendulum.
But it's just not going to give you all that additional information about the different color bands.
Right. But if all you want to know is there a vertical wave here, you can just fill this out. Yep, there it is. And some of the work we do here, sometimes you want what we call a neutral pendulum. So like this, it's just an acrylic sphere with nothing on it. Sometimes you'll see them in wood, just a wooden sphere.
Right.
And this is for doing detecting what we call the personal wave or the astral wave.
Okay.
And you can also check polarity with it, and you calibrate this one with string length. So right now I'm holding the place for polarity. Like if I had a battery here and I put it over the positive pole, it would start to spin clockwise. And if I flip the battery around to the negative pole, this will spin counterclockwise.
Right.
That will give you polarity. And then there's also a setting for what we call the personal wave. You just hold it over a witness for a person, like a photograph or whatever, or your hand or, whatever. And the personal wave is just like, what this is for is like, you can check to see how other things react with you. So that my personal wave is right here. And if I were to like over here and touch something or put something in my energy field, like some high sugar or corn syrup or some unhealthy food, you'll start to see it slow down. And if it's bad enough, if it interacts with me, negatively enough, it'll start to go counterclockwise.
Right.
And that tells you that whatever you're testing is not good for you. But on the same token, if my personal wave is here, and then I touch like that Atlantis symbol or the Ankh symbol, say, you'll see my personal wave. It'll start to go like this. It'll start to stay clockwise and go stronger, and that's an indication that that's a benefit to you. It's increasing your energy and your awareness.
Okay.
So that's what we can do with this.
And you can sorry, just before you get any further, do you think that you remember the pendulum that you showed for dowsing? Would that do the same thing? Do you think? Or
some of those, yes. Like this particular one this is good enough to use as a neutral pendulum. Okay. Because it's stainless steel. There's not a lot to it. It's just a chain. But some people, they have gemstones and feathers and all sorts of stuff on their pendulums. That's not good for a neutral pendulum because there's all sorts of other energy there. But yeah, I sometimes if that's all I have handy, I will use this as a neutral pendulum. I can do that with this. Okay. Although I prefer to keep my dowsing pendulums separate from my radiesthesia stuff.
Okay.
Like this, I could dowse with this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weight on a string. I could ask a yes, no question with this, but I keep my radiesthesia for radiesthesia and my dowsing tools for dowsing. It's just, I think it's, in the long run, it's a good idea. Another thing you can do with the neutral pendulum like this is if you get a long string on it, you can start over, something red, and you can calibrate it, and you can find a setting that'll detect red, and then you can and up and down, you just find spots up in the string, yellow, orange, green, blue, indigo, violet. You can detect all those energies with this, and there are people who sell them. They've already pre-calibrated and everything like that. So you can with little colored dots on the string, so you can know where to grab it for the color. Right. It's not going to distinguish between horizontal and vertical, but it at least tell you that color is present. Right. And it's just an interesting thing. You can see how these pendulums work and interact with the colors.
Yeah.
And then one of the really interesting pendulums is the cylindrical pendulum. It's just a cylinder of wood like this, with a string that runs through it.
Right. Okay.
And one side of the pendulum has a couple grooves cut in it, and the other one doesn't. That polarizes the pendulum. So you can use it with the grooves up. You can detect with it. Yeah. Then if you flip it the other way around, now the grooves are down, and if you spin it intentionally, now you can emit with it.
Right.
And Jean de la Foy did a lot of work with the cylindrical pendulum, and he worked with a guy, I forget the guy's name, who studied the Hebrew letters a lot. And there's a lot of energy color bands, and a lot of things about Hebrew letters and Hebrew words that, he was playing around with. And De La Foy is also the guy who was playing around with stuff like this and the Easter Island symbols. He's the guy who figured out all of that. And what you can do with this is, like, I can put this on the cylinder, use the rubber band to keep it there. Don't let the rubber band cross the cylinder because that changes the energetics, or cross the symbol. So now it's on there. So now I can use this cylinder to detect the wave of Chart.
Right.
Because it's calibrated for it now. So I can, if I put this, if I had a copy of the labyrinth here, I could put it over it and it would start to spin because it's set for that. But if I used a different labyrinth, it wouldn't spin because the different labyrinths have different energy patterns that come out of it. But I can use, like, a lot of those Easter Island symbols that are, and he lined this out. There's a bunch of symbols he lined out, and some other symbols too, not just the Easter Island ones that radiate different colors. So you can take a little piece of paper with that printed on there and just put it on here, and then you can use that to detect whatever's on there.
Right.
But the neat thing about this is, it's not just these symbols you can do that with. You can take a photograph of something,
right,
put it on here.
Yeah.
Like, see if this makes sense. I was just, I had some hay. We have a horse, and we had some hay that was several years old, and he stopped eating it. And it was kind of mixed in with newer bales, and I couldn't figure out by looking at it which ones he would eat and which ones he wouldn't. Some of them he just wouldn't. So I took a sample of hay from one of the bales he wouldn't eat, took a picture of it, printed up a small picture, put it on here, and then I would go over the bales. And if it rotated, if I started to see it rotate like this, then I know that bale's got the same energy as the bad hay. So I would take that, so I could take that bale out because he's not going to eat that one.
Wow. Okay.
I can do stuff like that. I've taken pictures, like, out of Wilhelm Reich and orgone energy. You're familiar with that?
Yeah.
You take a picture, like on the cover of the book, there's a picture with, the earth and the orgone energy there. I zoomed in on that, and I took that photograph, printed it, and put it on here. Now I can detect orgone energy with this.
Amazing.
I can do the same thing with a picture of the deadly orgone, which is helpful because I have an orgone accumulator. So I can go up, and with the picture of the deadly orgone, and I could just put it by there and see if it's got any deadly orgone in it, it'll spin. And if it doesn't, it won't. So it's kind of neat,
Yeah, really.
So any kind of a symbol or a photograph of something, you can detect like that. So in this sense, it's kind of like if you had a photograph of, say, gold on here, of a gold nugget, you could walk around and sort of prospect in an area and see maybe if you could detect it, kind of like some people do with radiesthesia, with those pendulums that have a chamber inside there, and they put a sample of something in there and they're detecting it. That's radiesthesia. And you could do it kind of like that.
Oh.
And so that's really interesting. And there's some people in Brazil and Portugal that they kind of took what De La Foy did with the cylindrical pendulum, and they created a whole system called the Hebrew pendulum. And they use Hebrew labels with Hebrew words, and they'll just put a Hebrew word for a disease or a body part, or some kind, or the evil eye or stuff like that. And then they can use this with that Hebrew label on there. They can go over a person and detect, if you have, asthma, or if you have some kind of inflammation or cancer or something like that, they can use these pendulums to detect it. And then they flip it around, and you can either emit something if it's positive, or they have separate labels, for curing, and you can emit the other label to emit a curing ray for it.
Wow.
Or you can, another thing you can do is if you spin it counterclockwise, like if I have it, like I wouldn't want to take the wave of Chart out of something, but because it's a healthy energy, but I could put this on And like I said, if I'm spinning it like this intentionally, I'm emitting that wave. If I spin it counterclockwise, now I'm taking that energy out.
Right.
So you can do things like that. And these people have developed a whole healing system. You can, you can see them on eBay or not eBay, Etsy. You can,
Okay.
they'll sell the labels and pendulums. That's where I got this. I got this on
Okay. And
Etsy.
what? Okay. Yeah, that'd be
And it's
great
just, they just
if you
call it the
detailed.
Hebrew pendulum and various things like that. Now the labels that you sell, every label I've seen is in Portuguese or Spanish,
Okay.
both. It looks like there's a hodgepodge of labels from everybody just borrowed everybody else's labels. I saw in one set in Italian,
Okay.
but and I don't speak Portuguese or Italian or Spanish, so
Okay.
I made some labels for myself with English translations. So I know, because I can't read Hebrew either. So I know what label says what, but you can work with that. And I also experimented making my own labels with Egyptian hieroglyphs, Sanskrit, Sumerian cuneiform, and it works the same. The Hebrew letters, there's that's a sophisticated alphabet. There's a lot of energy and numerology associated with Hebrew. There's a lot of patterns. It's a very structured, very intentionally constructed language.
Yeah.
I think that's why it works so well for this. But, the hieroglyphs work too. Sanskrit works. The cuneiform works. I've, tested it out. So it's pretty neat. So, but yeah, if you think about it, there's a lot you could do with this.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of things with this.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
Your,
And
with your imagination.
what's beautiful about it is the simplicity, though, that
Yeah.
you're talking about deep concepts, but also simple concepts at the same time, which is really attractive, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you can detect for vertical negative green or red would probably be associated with inflammation or different things in your body around, and you'll see with injuries. Like I was at the Radionics Symposium in South Dakota a few years ago, and there was a guy teaching a class on on energy healing, and he had heard about this stuff, and he's a friend of mine. So he asked me if I'd come into his class, and he was teaching people how to do this, but I'm using pendulums to detect, like this woman's got an injury in her knee. So I'm detecting, okay, there's the vertical negative green over the energy, and then he's showing everybody how to apply this technique, and then my pendulum just starts slowing down
Right.
right as he's doing this. So it was a pretty cool thing,
Yeah.
to see,
Yeah.
you know, he's doing this and I'm doing this, but you can using these two modalities together, you can see what's happening. It's just
And,
it was
and
kind of
so and so, what's your explanation for that? Is it picking up vibrational information in the etheric sort of field?
well, you mean how does the pendulum work?
Well, yeah. I mean, how is it sensing some of those?
Well, what these energies are emitted here in the world,
Yeah.
and like if this is the way this works is okay, we got it set for green, positive green. So what's happening is like if there's like the cover of this book is green, so let's see if you can see it in the camera. So I'm detecting it. So that green color is emanating energy out here in the world. This is calibrated for green in this
Yeah.
case. So it's like two tuning forks.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have two tuning forks and you strike one, the other one will start to vibrate on its own without any physical contact because the sound waves, it's calibrated for those sound waves, so it makes it vibrate. That's what's going on here. It's calibrated for green. Green is present, so it's now moving in sympathetic vibration with the green. And it's happening because it's the green energy is coming up. My energy field is here on the pendulum, and that's the interface, and that's why it's radiesthesia, because my aura is part of the process of detecting this energy.
Okay.
Now, some of the work these French guys got into, it's kind of arcane, and biogeometry goes into it too. There are different levels. There's the physical level, there's the etheric level, there's these other levels, and the energy can be present on just the physical, or the physical and the etheric, or and the astral, or whatever. And there are ways to get into detecting that, but yeah, a lot of this is just the physical, and that some of that is what these beads, these strings are on the pendulum. Like
Okay.
this is for detecting stuff in the physical, I think, and then some of these are other. You holding it in other places, to detect other types of energies, but that first one is for detecting it in the physical.
Okay.
So yeah, there are things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just sympathetic vibration. That
Right.
energy is present. This is calibrated for that energy. It's just like tuning forks or
Right.
guitar strings. If you strum an E string, this other E string will start to vibrate because it's the same thing.
Okay.
That's how these work.
Fascinating. I'm definitely going to be buying one of those.
Yeah, they're pretty neat. They're pretty
And so
fascinating.
a while back, I'd interviewed somebody who's an aura reader. I've got some fascinating videos of interviews with her. So, because you mentioned the aura there being part of the process or part of, what's your understanding of that? Do you want to expand on that?
Well, the part of this process is holding the pendulum properly. You want to hold it between your thumb and your forefinger like this, so the energy in your body can move back and forth.
Right.
Because you're putting your, it involves your aura and your awareness, your attention.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're not asking mental questions, but you want that to be able to flow. Now, like you'll see in dowsing, people hold pendulums all sorts of ways. You'll see people dowsing like this, and that's fine for dowsing, but that doesn't work here. You don't want to do that here.
Yeah.
You want to make sure the energy flows properly the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the aura is part of it. And interestingly, speaking of auras, this is not super useful information. It doesn't really help you do anything amazing, but it's interesting. A person's personal wave is a color. Every person has a color, their personal wave, and everyone has a color. We don't bother figuring out which color it is,
Right.
because it doesn't, generally speaking, it's not a big help. And your color is fixed at birth. It almost never changes. On very, very rare occasions, it can change, like a catastrophic health condition and then being resolved, or an emotional trauma could possibly sometimes change it. But by and large, it's fixed at birth. Doesn't have anything to do with your favorite color. Your favorite color might correspond with it, but just because your favorite color is blue or whatever, that doesn't mean your personal wave is going to be blue. It doesn't work like that.
Okay.
But it's kind of neat to think that you have
Yeah.
and I believe it's the primary color, the most prominent color or something like that of.
But you don't think there's anything particularly overtly helpful to know that, whether
Not really, because when you're testing something, all you just want to see if it reduces the energy or if it increases the energy.
right.
If you know what your aura color is, you can use that color to bring your personal wave up and kind of
Right.
increase your coherence.
Yeah.
And that is part of your aura. I guess the auras are I think auras are more complicated than a lot of people think they are, but there's more going on there. But
Yeah. I'm just going to give you a gentle reminder. There's about 4.5 minutes left. So
okay.
there's so much juicy stuff that you're sharing. It's been great to know about all these tools.
Yeah. Just real quickly here, I'll just show you. In case anybody's wondering, this is a biogeometry pendulum. This is a horizontal pendulum. But Dr. Kareem developed tools this is more sensitive than a virtual cone, but it's more expensive, and you have to, it's part of biogeometry training. This one they use to detect the vertical waves,
Right. Okay.
And then somewhere here I've got I think, there it is. They also have special pendulums to detect the BG3 energy. This is a BG3 pendulum. So consequently, now that I discovered this, I have a ton of pendulums.
Yeah, I think I saw something online that there's some green Waji Egyptian pendulums. Have you seen those?
You mean that?
No, I think I saw something that was like it was made out of a green sort of substance, and it was found in ancient Egypt, and you know there were.
Oh, I don't know about something made out of green.
Okay, I'll find out where I found about that, and I'll send you a link to it because it might be something.
Okay, yeah, yeah. It's you know, I use it with radionics. You know, I'll use it with dowsing, but it's just, you know, there's a lot of, you know, I like to play around and do research with it. And I have done some research that, you know, I'm trying to write a book about this, try to bring together a lot of the information that the Frenchmen have, because it's books, they're all written over a time period, and you have to read through it. And the book you're reading here, they're at this point in discovery, you know, but we already know all, you know, so I'm trying to condense it and just put the useful information out.
Yeah.
Just to give people an idea and have it in English and not just French.
Yeah.
And, I've done some of my own research, and I'm going to be putting my own research in there. Like one of the things I'll put some more information about in there is I think they made a mistake labeling it black and white. I think white should be purple and black should be scarlet.
Okay.
Because those are non-spectral colors like magenta is. When magenta is, I already know magenta is negative green. The color magenta will radiates negative green. So I think and actually black and white are, white actually radiates a number of colors and black radiates like the other part of the spectrum.
Right.
Which makes sense if you're familiar with Goethe's color theory. So I think they were just mislabeled, and that's part of the research, and I'll have that in my book with you. Someday, hopefully I get it published.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. It sounds like you're the man to bring this knowledge into the world. I mean, it's been fascinating sort of hearing and all the information that you've got to share. I'm going to be rewatching these videos back and taking it all in and trying to think of the applications and the ways that I'd like to explore it. And I'm sure lots of other people are very grateful for the knowledge you're sharing. Yeah, fingers crossed that book comes into completion and existence soon. That sounds like
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll try to talk about how you the method, how you use these pendulums to detect and whatnot.
Yeah, brilliant.
And maybe one day I've taught classes about it, but maybe one day I'll get some video classes together on how to do it.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. I mean, I'm very blessed that you've shared your knowledge and time with me. I'm just going to pause this video in a second because it's less than a minute and I don't want to run out. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dan. Cheers.
Thanks, Graham.